The Fed minutes did not give markets a clear answer. They revealed something more important. A central bank divided between sticky inflation and a cooling labor market. Some officials still saw a case for higher rates. Others saw reasons to wait. At the same time, weekly jobless claims stayed low. That means the labor market is cooling but not breaking. So the question is no longer simple. It is not just whether the Fed will hike. It is which risk the Fed fears more now: inflation that stays too high, or a labor market that cools too quickly. On July 9, 2026, the Federal Reserve released the minutes of its June monetary policy meeting. This document is distinct from the July 2nd employment report or the June personal consumption expenditures index. Instead of reflecting a single historical data point, these minutes provide the official, detailed record of the Federal Open Market Committee's internal deliberations regarding inflation, labor market dynamics, and interest rate risk. For institutional observers, the operational value of this release lies in its disclosure of the Federal Reserve's reaction function. The minutes expose the internal analytical framework policymakers use to weigh competing economic forces. Rather than offering a unified policy signal, the document details a structural division within the committee, revealing how individual participants interpret the threshold for future adjustments. Understanding this internal friction is essential, as the committee's underlying decision rule directly determines the trajectory of borrowing costs. By examining the debate behind closed doors, market participants can observe how the central bank balances a cooling job market against persistent service sector price pressures, showing why the path ahead remains highly contested. The published minutes of the June meeting fractured any remaining assumption of committee consensus. Behind the unanimous decision to hold the federal funds rate steady at 3.5 to 3.75% lay a deep division over the medium-term path. A few participants argued that macroeconomic conditions already justified an immediate rate hike at the June meeting itself. Looking further out, roughly half of the 18 policymakers projected that at least one additional rate increase would be required before the end of 2026. Conversely, the other half of the committee assessed that keeping rates flat, or even beginning to lower them, represented the appropriate path forward. This internal divergence fundamentally alters how market participants must read the central bank. When a committee no longer operates with a single voice, the concept of a unified reaction function breaks down. Instead of a single, predictable policy rule, the economic outlook becomes a function of competing internal thresholds. Some policymakers require only a stabilization of inflation to warrant cuts, while others demand explicit evidence of labor market distress. Meanwhile, the hawkish contingent remains highly sensitive to any sign of price resilience, willing to tighten further at the first warning sign. This dispersion in risk tolerance and timing creates a wider band of potential policy outcomes, replacing clear forward guidance with structural uncertainty. In June, the Federal Reserve's professional staff revised their baseline core personal consumption expenditures inflation forecast for 2026 upward, raising it from 2.7% to 3.3%, while projecting that price pressures would persist into 2027. This official revision reflects a technical assessment that underlying price pressures will stay above the 3% threshold throughout the entire year. The analytical foundation of this hawkish outlook relies on several distinct supply-side transmission channels that operate independently of aggregate demand. First, trade policies and tariffs directly increase the landed cost of imported intermediate goods, which domestic manufacturers pass down the supply chain to final retail prices. Second, volatile energy markets keep industrial and transport fuel costs high, preventing a complete cooling of distribution expenses. Inside the technology sector, massive capital investment in artificial intelligence has triggered intense demand for specialized semiconductors and related technology equipment, creating supply backlogs that drive up hardware costs. This digital expansion also strains infrastructure, as the massive electricity demand of new data centers drives up utility rates for commercial and industrial users. Together, these factors generate independent price pressures that cannot be solved by labor cooling alone. For the committee, this sticky inflation baseline operates as a binding constraint. Even as hiring slows, these persistent structural costs prevent a straightforward shift toward monetary easing, as cutting rates prematurely could entrench these higher prices in the broader economy. The weekly jobless claims data released on July 9, 2026, provides the analytical counterweight to these persistent service sector price pressures. Initial claims fell by 2,000 to a seasonally adjusted 215,000, illustrating that corporate layoffs remain historically low. Simultaneously, continuing claims edged up to 1.814 million, while the insured unemployment rate held steady at 1.2%. In macroeconomic terms, this configuration characterizes a slow hire, slow fire labor market. Companies are increasingly reluctant to expand headcount, yet they are not actively shedding existing staff. The resulting signal is one of marginal cooling rather than a clean, recessionary alarm that would force the central bank's hand. For a split FOMC, this steady labor backdrop removes any immediate urgency for a dovish policy shift. Without a rapid escalation in job losses or a severe labor market break, this gradual moderation is insufficient to override the staff's sticky core PCE projections. The absence of widespread employment distress allows the hawkish faction of the committee to maintain its focus on structural inflation risks, explaining why labor cooling has not yet triggered a clear rate-cutting signal. Equity markets met the policy gridlock with a measured, indecisive response. On July 9th, the Dow Jones Industrial Average crept up by 0.16%, while the S&P 500 rose 0.41%. Technology shares showed slightly more momentum, lifting the Nasdaq Composite by 0.62%. These modest gains did not represent a clear directional bet on an upcoming policy easing. Instead, the minor moves indicated that equity investors chose to wait and see rather than buy into a definitive macroeconomic narrative. Facing a divided central bank, the stock market priced in ambiguity rather than conviction. The bond market provided a sharper barometer of the true policy outlook. On July 9th, the benchmark 10-year Treasury yield held within a tight range of 4.56% to 4.58%. Meanwhile, the policy-sensitive 2-year Treasury yield settled near 4.19%. Because the short end of the curve is especially responsive to near-term Fed expectations, these stubborn yield levels suggest that fixed-income investors are not buying into a rapid rate-cut path. Had a dovish pivot been imminent, short-term yields would have fallen significantly. Instead, Treasury pricing reveals that bond markets remain anchored by inflation risk and ongoing policy uncertainty. The Federal Open Market Committee balances a two-sided risk. Keeping interest rates elevated prevents inflation from becoming entrenched, but holding policy restrictive for too long risks accelerating a labor market downturn. The choice facing the committee extends beyond a simple decision to raise or lower rates. It is an exercise in managing timing to avoid both reigniting price pressures and causing unnecessary job losses. Resolving this deadlock depends on a specific watch list of indicators, beginning with the Consumer Price Index and the subsequent Personal Consumption Expenditures Report. Alongside these inflation prints, wage growth trends and weekly continued jobless claims will show whether labor demand is stabilizing or deteriorating. Meanwhile, the 2-year Treasury yield will serve as the primary market gauge for near-term expectations. If inflation cools while employment metrics soften, the case for easing strengthens. If price pressures remain sticky while layoffs stay contained, the hawkish argument for prolonged restriction will prevail. We are left with a central bank operating without its traditional playbook. As structural supply shifts redefine inflation, labor cooling alone no longer guarantees a pivot. The era of predictable policy is over. How do you see this standoff resolving? Share your thoughts below. Headlines tell you what happened. Signals tell you what happens next.